Aloha, my name is Matt Darnell with ComTel.Cloud, like up in the sky, here as always with Mr. Greg Jackson. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Living the dream. We're out at the Dave and Buster's, VIP event last night. So, of course,
Congratulations.
being a VIP, you always go to VIP events. So, yeah, had a great time there. That's going to be a fantastic place when that happens. So, what we do here is really quickly we go through 7 tech stories that we found this week that are interesting. We think you think they're interesting. So, let's go ahead and get started with that. First one here is Skype is gonna be gone. As an old man in tech, I remember how awesome Skype was, and the quality was something that was unbelievable. I mean, there's all this talk when it first came out, how what kind of it was spyware, and they were listening to your conversations, and then Microsoft bought it. It became a huge thing, but I'm sure you've had a little bit of experience with Skype in the past.
Yep, I remember Skype. I used to plug it into my app called Trillion.
And then you would what was that? Was that a gaming app or what kind of app was that?
Trillion was an aggregator, so it would take all
Okay.
of your chat
Oh,
sessions and plug them in, and then you could see multiple. You could have like Teams or um, Skype, or there was a whole bunch of them. It's crazy.
okay. Yeah, I have a junior engineer here that just tried to hop up on the table there. But yeah, no, and Microsoft bought them, and then they brought in the phone part of it. So it's yeah, Skype have I have a lot of great memories with that, and then Skype for Business is not shutting down, and there's a whole bunch of stuff where this person's talking about how she had prepaid a bunch of money for international calling, and
Mm.
you can't get that money back. So anytime you have a deposit somewhere, and this is Microsoft, we're not talking about a small company, assume that you're never going to get it back if you have
We'll give
some
you
kind of
credit.
prepaid service. Yeah, for a movie or something, have that there. But they're all, no, I don't want a credit. I want the money back. So very, very, very sad to see Skype gone there. So this is huge. When I read this last night, it was a load off my mind. Being an MSP, we are in the midst of all of our Windows 10 upgrades, and we've been talking with customers about, man, Dell's might be jacking up prices, or everybody might be jacking up prices. We went out and got my mother. We upgraded her. She had a Samsung S22 up to an iPhone. It's like 16 because I'm afraid the price is going up. But the fact that smartphones and computers are exempt, I'm very, very happy about
I,
that
I
just
heard
because.
that takes up almost like 100 billion of 400 billion worth um, of revenue that comes in. That's what I heard. So it's almost 25% of the tariffs.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And and that's really, well, obviously we need raw materials and that, but
Yeah.
phones, computers, that just drives so much of our economy. And we went to the T-Mobile store. I mean, the line was practically out the door because of the smartphone thing. So, we're not getting political here. A lot of good parts of tariffs, a lot of bad parts of tariffs, but in my business, what we do with MSP and IT, I'm happy that especially with this Windows 10 end of life in October, there are so many upgrades, coming down your way. Are you dealing with any upgrades that this would affect?
Yep. I'm getting most of the stuff I'm touching are in-place upgrades or refresh. Yeah.
Yeah, that darn TPM Windows 11. I mean, they have all the specs, but they don't have the TPM, which is, I'm sure Dell loves that. They got to sell all those. All right, immutable backup. So, what's your definition of an immutable backup?
Um, I call immutable backup. You take a backup and I mean, I'm reaching back to my college days of Worm, so it's write, once and read many. So
Uh,
you basically lock up the data. It used to be like if you made a CD or something, you just that's kind of in most cases it was the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's the very industry definition that once it's written, it cannot be altered, and it can't put things back into it. You can't slipstream changes downstream into it. It's written there, and it's written in stone. Literally having that there, and I don't think many people have immutable storage, and we do, we have, the father, was grandfather, father, son kind of backup that we do for our offsite backups, and those I think are immutable, um, but it's still stored somehow, and I don't know you can, how do you protect it from being written over? Um,
You send people to the office with a case. You tell them to pull the tapes out.
I think that's it. If you're on a DAT tape or something like that, like
Yeah.
Synology talks about their immutable storage, but I mean it's still so it's not magic. I mean there's no magic involved. It's still a controller controlled by software that writes to the disk. The only thing that makes it immutable is the software that controls there. But definitely immutable storage if you have real important stuff, something that you need to be doing here. So quishing, I had never heard of this term before. I mean, there's all the other ishing. Why not quishing? And it's just a fake QR code phishing there. And you were saying there was something happened here in Hawaii that
Yeah, it was the
you
parking lots where they did that. They put like a white label on it, and people were you basically just make a fake web page, you know, um, and then you act like you're paying for the parking, and you're not really paying for the parking. You're just donating money to somebody who sent you somewhere you weren't supposed to go.
yeah, and once you do that, the monies they probably drain it every single day, buy Bitcoin with it, and it's gone, right? And
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
um, and the hard part about that is it's so simple. And when you have a skimmer on a credit card machine, it's much better with the tap now. That skimmers can't really do a lot with that, as opposed to one where you have to slide the card through there. But
Hmm.
it got just a sticker. Just walk by, put the sticker on, and move on. Now you would hope that, like at the parking lot, very quickly they figured out, in the last 3 hours, normally we have had 200 people pay for parking and we've had none. It could be the streets closed outside and there's no access to the parking lot or something, but yeah, this is really scary to me because QR codes are one of those things where people generally trust with that when they're going to self-pay for parking or that. So always be on your toes. If it looks funny, doubt it, check it. If it looks like a sticker, start to peel it off and check the websites out very closely where
Yeah,
you are going to. All right, post quantum future, right? Quantum. This is just an article kind of caught my eye, and when you read it, it's quantum computers going to break the encryption, and there's just one thing here that I highlighted: post quantum cryptography and investing in that. Well, I just did a Google search. I'm not sure. It might have been a DuckDuckGo search. Post quantum cryptography. The first article comes out was from 2017. Beginning. So 8+ years ago. And I'm afraid that this is the kind of thing where the sky is falling. Um, do you have people talking to you at all, as an IT professional about quantum computing and what they can do to prepare for that?
I'm not hearing a lot of it. I think as soon as they start breaking into files or internet encryption, I think that's when you're going to start seeing it because quantum computing isn't really highly available. And I
Yeah.
think there is some hardening, and there's some people that are trying to do that with crypto now. And the supposition is as soon as we go into a post quantum computing environment, you can pretty much your biggest targets are going to be the banks. So I think a lot of people are the banking industry and military is probably going to be leading that. People like Microsoft because they have a lot of government ecosystems. So for all of the online hashes that they have for secure web, a lot of that stuff is going to matter.
And the Department of Defense, I mean, I to do this yourself, do your own research. They classify a quantum computer as a weapon of mass destruction because
Wow.
of what it's able to do. So yeah, this Q day, I just hope it's not a sky is falling kind of thing. All right, Chat GPT memory. Now, this just screams of problems. I mean, what's it remembering? It says we can remember your interactions. Yeah, I thought each one was going to be independent. So now I know they learn off of the kind of questions that I ask, which makes sense. That my questions become part of their large learning model there. But what's it doing when it remembers? Because that means now it's tied to me and my account and my login. It's not randomized. It's not anonymized at all. And I just can't. I mean, things that you upload, spreadsheets, customer names, help me with this PowerPoint. Um, it's
So
like Gmail.
I think the part that, well, that's the part I don't know. I think Google has openly said that they were going through those files. I don't know how much of the attachments are retained. And that's something that I've been trying to figure out is, are things session based? I do know that when I log into one device and then I go to another device, it's retained. There's things called projects, and then those projects go over to the new device. So it's keeping some of it. So it's not, what I do know is it's not based on the device. Um, and I've been noticing that when I say certain things that are personal identifiers, like, you know, I'm in Boy Scouts or something, you'll see it say information updated. That I find that very interesting. And then, but you can, I mean, and that's the part is I don't know how much you can actually believe. I had a friend tell me because I was like, wow, it was giving me an opinion on a paper and a conversation, and I just saw, I shoved everything into it, and I said, what do you gather from the back and forth? And my friend said, I have to be careful because it's probably programmed to agree with you. And I asked it, and it goes, yeah, I'm supposed to lean to your perspective. So I don't know how much fibbing or lying it does. I did
It's
ask it if it
learning. That's
keeps.
called learning.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's like,
uh,
if I give you the serial number to my watch, is it learning the serial number or is it just learning that I have a serial number? That's the
it's
part I don't
it's
know.
learning about humans and how to deal with humans. And
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me give me confirmation for what I already believe. Yeah. All right. So what could go wrong? So here, boarding passes are going to be a thing of the past. This is in the UN backed. This digitized air transport. It's they want to get rid of that. Everything's going to be an app, facial recognition, walk through security, walk on the plane. And is this a solution in search of a problem? I mean, is this what we really mean? Get rid of passports, get rid of boarding passes. I just all I need is my phone and my face.
Yeah. I think it's getting into that's my personal business, but when I look at what ID.me does, I use that to log into the IRS, and the ID.me manages the whole credentialing process. I think it's getting to the point where they're going to know what we look like too.
And to trap, well, I mean, I have a passport, and I guarantee you that the government has digitized that.
Yeah.
And, somehow with my face, I can't imagine that they can't create a unique number that is defines my face.
Yep.
Different from
Agree.
every other face. Okay, so this is the last one here. This one's a bonus, and this is really huge. I was shocked when I saw this came out April 10th, a few days ago, and this version here, ESXi 8.0, release 3E. I don't know 3 Echo here, and what's huge about it is that let me show you here. that you can download it free of charge. And from what I read about this, it's not like I think with normal, if you just load vSphere, you get 120 days or 90 days. I mean, the free version of ESXi has come back, and I just wonder how many people that are planning, and I don't think this affects large corporations, the government, Fortune 500 companies, they're so invested. The cost to change is way more than what it would be. But all the little guys, like a lot of our customers, it's very common to put an ESXi server and
Hmm.
use the Kivo to replicate to another ESXi server. I mean, it's licensed with the free license, but no vSphere. Or just have one ESXi because it's not mission critical, but back it up to a Synology. So if it dies, just put another server in there, reload it up, do a restore from a Synology. I wonder how many people are going to want to go back. I would wait 2 or 3 years before I could ever recommend someone going back with that VMware strategy.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen how expensive it has gotten, and yeah, I had to go through some of the licensing for it. It was a very interesting process. A lot of money.
Interesting means lots of your wrist hurt from all the zeros you had to write on that check,
It
right?
was weird. Yeah, I had to every time that you have an instance. Well, how many do you have in your cluster? We have three. Well, then you need three data centers. And you're like, three data centers? You're like, well, if you're gonna move if you're using vMotion, you got to use that. So I was like, wow, this is really adding up.
Yeah. So I think the Proxmoxes, the XCPNG are going to continue to grow because people, a year ago made the decision to go off there. And I don't know if this was their plan all along, that they were going to go for a little while and do that. But yeah, I don't understand how these companies can be so short-sighted when they make these kinds of decisions.
Yeah,
I thought you said you had a joke.
I did. I wanted to. I thought I was going to bring it up during. Was it this one? No, I thought we had one more we were going to talk about, but I'll give it to you now.
Yeah.
Why did the hard drive break up with the cloud?
Why did the hard drive why did the hard drive break up with the cloud?
I'm glad you asked. Because I found the relationship too one-sided, always uploading, never downloading.
Okay. Well, uploading is free, downloading costs. That's how they get you. You can
Sounds,
get all your data there for there. All right, so what's the Easter Bunny's favorite kind of music?
tell me, what is
Hip
it?
hop. Hip hop.
Oh,
Hip
good one,
hop,
good
yeah.
one.
All right, so hope everybody enjoyed this. Go ahead and if this is your kind of tech news you're looking for, and or I would love it if you have a story you want us to talk about, or you find something cool during the week, throw that down there in the comments, and we'd love to talk about it. So again, this is Matt Darnell with ComTel. You are
Greg Jackson.
have a great day. Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha.